All right. Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to Math 120. I am Erin. I am your instructor for this semester. I'm going to spend the first 20 minutes going over just sort of housekeeping stuff, the syllabus, this course schedule, how to move around in Eagle Online, because we will be using that a lot. And then just sort of what the whole class is going to be. And then I am going to launch into teaching today. In the email I sent yesterday, first of all, I'm very sorry about the confusion. I swear every year at the beginning of the semester, my brain is just like a million things and I have way too many typos in emails. So I apologize if there's a confusion or for the confusion when I listed two different times. But my lectures will consist of worksheets that I will then post on Eagle Online. You can print them out if you want. And so it just gives a nice organized way to keep notes. And so that's why I emailed that to you yesterday, so that if you wanted to print it out for today, you could. So let's talk about Eagle Online and all the kind of nitty-gritty stuff. So what you're looking at here is our Eagle Online course shell. I've got a nice little welcome message for you. I will use the announcements each week to give updates about the class, remind you of due dates, things like that. So it's not anything I won't say in class either, but it's always a good place to check when you're first logging in every day if you have questions. On the right-hand side, you've got my office hours. I hold Zoom office hours. I have 5 of them over the course of the week. Monday from 10 to 11, Tuesday and Thursday from 11 to 12, which is directly after this class. And then Monday and Wednesday from 2 to 3. If all of those hours do not work for you and you do want to work with me independently, just email me and we'll set up a time that works, okay? Then you'll see that there's this app called Google Workspace. You will be scanning and uploading written work for your quizzes and tests. And if you end up missing a lecture, to make up the participation points, you'll scan and upload the worksheet that went with the lecture. So it's helpful to link your Google account, this is your school Google account, to Eagle Online. And I have instructions in the content and I'll show you where those are. So any questions before we move forward? Okay, so pretty much everything we do in this class will be in the content section. So first thing you'll notice, here's a module with the Zoom links. I've got the link to the lecture and then links to my 3 office hours, okay? Looking at first week activities. So we're gonna read the syllabus and review the teaching and due date calendar. You're gonna go to the bookstore and buy your textbook and Edfinity access code. So your textbook looks like this. It's Math Skills for Allied Health Careers. And the Edfinity access code should be $30-something. And it's the reason we are doing that is because you're going to have online homework, which is an easier system than writing down all your homework problems on paper and submitting them. There will be some times when we have to do homework on worksheets because I just can't build the questions into Edfinity. But so you will need that access code. Again, you're going to get signed up for Edfinity using the directions in the Edfinity module. We'll talk about that in a minute. Contribute to the first week discussion, review the Adobe Scan video, and complete the practice placement exam. So let's talk about the discussion. I want you to introduce yourself. We are in a virtual world, and so for us to get to know each other a little bit better, the introduction, there's a link to it. I have already posted, so feel free to read my post and respond back. This is where you will start a new thread. So I encourage you to read other people's posts and respond to them. Again, the whole point of this is for us to be sort of a learning community together, since we are all online and who knows where everybody's located. I live in Billings. So, it's just a way for us to feel connected. Don't worry, I'm not going to have regular discussion posts where you have to post once and respond twice type thing. It's just, this is the intro just so we can all kind of introduce ourselves to each other. So then I want you to review the Adobe Scan videos. The reason why is, like I said, you'll be scanning and uploading your written work for quizzes and tests. Quizzes and tests will be taken at home, but you will need to scan and upload that work so that I can grade it. So Adobe Scan is a free smartphone app. It also works on iPads and Android tablets like Kindle Fire and things like that. So like I said, it's free. I have 2 videos in here. One is how to use it on an Android phone, which that's like Samsung or Google or something like that, or on an iPad or iPhone. That's just to help you walk through it. Like I said, it is a free app. If you don't have a smart device, that's fine. You have access to a scanner in the library, I believe. So you can still scan and upload that stuff there. And then, like I said, you're going to be taking a practice placement exam. This, I will give you the, it's password protected, but I will give you the password for it. But it's not due for a little while. Did I have it even on the, I don't even have it on the due date calendar. It'll be due next week. So don't stress too much about it. We're doing a new placement exam. And so the whole purpose is we just are having students try it so we can get a feel for sort of like things that people are going to run into, stuff like that. So don't stress too much. I mean, obviously try, because we want to see how people are placing, but don't stress like it's going to make you get kicked out of the class or something like that. Okay. So let's look at the syllabus. I'm not going to go into this too deep because, again, I just want you to go ahead and read it on your own. But think places to focus on the required text and materials. There's your textbook here, the Infinity Access Code. You will need a calculator, or you can also use this website, desmos.com, which is a free graphing website for calculator. It's the amount of calculator work we do is pretty minimal. So if you just have a normal calculator, you should be fine. Pencil, eraser, notebook paper for notes and homework. A binder would be helpful for organization. And like I said, access to a digital camera, scanner, or smartphone device, and then reliable internet. Again, if you don't have internet at home, you can use the internet on campus in the different computer labs. Because of COVID, if you are attending lecture from a public space on campus, I need to know that. And so at the beginning of lecture, if you could just send me a message in the chat, that would be great. And to get to the chat, and stop sharing for a hot minute. To get to the chat, if you put your cursor down to the bottom, you'll see it says chat. I'm going to use this a lot in lecture because I will have us do practice problems, and then I will ask you to send your answer to me directly. So in the chat feature, if you click on it, you'll notice on the right, it comes up, and the 2 has a drop-down menu. You can either do everyone, or you can send a message directly to me. So I want us all to try to practice just sending a message, just say hi, whatever, just so we all get a feel for doing it. Like I said, we will use that a lot. So again, at the beginning of class, if you just want to send me a message like that to let me know that you are in a room on campus, like not your dorm room, but like a public space, that would be great. One of the questions that came through, is a TI-84 plus okay for a calculator? That's perfectly fine. If you want to rent a graphing calculator for the semester, you can get one from the bookstore for $10 for the semester. Again, a graphing calculator is more powerful than we need, but you can, again, if you want to have that physical calculator for the semester, you can rent one. Any more questions before I go back to the syllabus? Okay. Okay, so the breakdown of your grade, attendance / participation. So the reason why it says attendance/participation is that I know some students are not able to always attend lecture in person. And so this is where you would be completing those notebook pages and watching the lecture after the fact and submitting them. So it allows you to make up for the points that you might miss by attending for lecture. Homework is going to be 15% of your grade. Quizzes are 10%. Exams are 50%, and your final exam is 20%. So I'm going to let you read all of this stuff on your own. There's no need for me to really get into it. There is some instructions here on how to sign up for that Edfinity account. There's the link. Let me know if you have any issues doing that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to draw attention to. Not really. Be nice to each other, right? We all know how to be decent humans. So go ahead and finish reading that on your own. I just wanted to pull out those important pieces. So the other thing that's in here that's important for us to talk about is the teaching and due date schedule. So the way this is organized is you can see I've got the date, the day of the week, what I plan to teach, and if something is due. So today I'm doing the intro. I'm going to teach sections 1.1, 1.2, and 1.4. Those are kind of review sections. We are going to jump around a lot in your textbook. And so I intentionally am labeling those so you know which sections they come from. On Thursday, I'm going to go over 2.1 and 2.2 and also finish up anything I don't finish teaching today. You'll notice your homework for 1.1 through 1.4 is going to be due Friday. Okay. So that homework is in Edfinity, so you need to make sure you get signed up for that. If you are not able to come to campus and get your Edfinity access code, please let me know and we'll come up with an alternative. Meaning, if you're on COVID protocols and you can't come to campus, just let me know and we'll figure something else out instead, okay? So you'll see next week, Tuesday, Thursday, that's our lecture schedule. You'll have your homework due on Tuesday. Thursday will be the first quiz, and that will be in Eagle Online. And when we get closer to that, I'll let you know how you complete that, okay? So again, this is a tentative schedule. I hope to keep to this as best to my ability. If we do get off, I'll just adjust dates. So any questions about the schedule? Okay. So Edfinity, there's the link to the sign-on. I'll show you my Edfinity. It looks a little bit different than yours. I was just editing some of the homework. So yours will look a little bit different than here, but so far we've got through 2.2 homework in here. I apologize, I can't show you what the student view looks like, but when you log in, you're just going to see your list of assignments. And you can see that it's got the due dates already posted in here. So 1.1, 1.2, and 1.4 are there. So any questions about that? Okay. And then lastly, other places you're going to find stuff. So chapter 1.1, you've got the 1.1 through 1.4 notebook page, or my lecture pages. I'm going to get 2.1 and 2.2 uploaded today, so you'll have access to those for Thursday. And so you'll just see the chapters listed there, and then you'll find the work pages. Sometimes I might have some videos in there too to help you with anything. And then lastly, if you're looking for the past Zoom recordings, they're going to be in this module. Zoom recordings will be uploaded within 12 hours of the lecture, because I have to download it, upload it to YouTube, to an unlisted YouTube page, excuse me, and then make it available to you. So it takes me a couple hours after lecture to make that happen, but within 12 hours, you'll have access to those. So any questions for me? So questions that have come in so far, are assignments due by a certain time of the day? It's due by 11:59 p.m. that night. So like you've got all the way till the very end. The link didn't take you, Brianna, I see your comment there about the link not taking you directly to enter the access code. So if you're going through this Edfinity link here, I don't think that that's going to take you, but if you go through the Edfinity link in the syllabus, it should take you to where you need to enter that access code. Because you have to sign up separately than just logging in, right? So, all right. Okay, that's all the kind of bookkeeping stuff. Any more questions? Okay. So, the first thing we're going to talk about in 1.1 is Roman numerals. These are used a lot in the medical field. I will be honest with you, my background is not in medical, but I can teach the math, right? So there will be some things that we talk about that I'm like, I don't know how to say this drug properly or whatever, but I can teach you the math behind it. So there will be times when I'm sure I will make a righteous idiot of myself, but we're going to roll with it, right? So when we talk about Roman numerals, there are, we got there, 8 different symbols. So 1/2 is represented with lowercase s's, 2 of them. V is a capital V or lowercase v. I is a 1, and you could be uppercase I or lowercase I. 10 is uppercase X or lowercase x. And when you've got the lowercase, it's when you're dealing with numbers that are less than 10. So if you're going to represent a number that's less than 10, you're going to use the lowercase numbers. So like 7 is VII, and I've got lowercase numbers. If I was doing 17, then I'm going to do uppercase because it's a number greater than 10. So 50 is L, 100 is C, 50 or 500, excuse me, is D, and 1000 is M. So things to keep in mind, Roman numerals are written in descending order. In order to convert a Roman numeral to a Hindu or Arabic numeral, and that's our normal counting system, convert the numerals to Hindu Arabic numerals and then add them together. When writing Hindu Arabic numerals as Roman numerals, you are limited to 3 of the same value. For example, 9 is IX, not VIII, right? We wouldn't have 4 I's. So you can only go to 3 of them and then you transfer to then subtracting. When I, X, and C are written to the left, they're subtracted. V, L, D, and M are not subtracted, meaning you will never write those to be subtracted from something. And so that does kind of play into how you're going to write stuff out, because say you want to do, let's see, we want to do 950. Well, you can't write that as LM because we know that L can't be subtracted. So you'd have to figure out another way to represent that 950. So we'll get into that more once we actually play with these examples, but that's what I mean when they cannot be subtracted. Subtracted numbers must be within 10% of what they're subtracted from. And lastly, you can only subtract 1 number, okay? So when we think about writing these Roman numerals as Hindu Arabic numerals, I want you to think about what these represent. Well, first of all, X represents 10, right? Try to go out so we can see it. And then we know I represents 1. So 3 I's in a row is equal to 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1, or 3. So XIII is X plus 3 I's, which translates to 10 plus 3, or 13. So you want to break them up into pieces like that. We look at number 2. we've got two x's, a v, and then the two lowercase s's. So that's going to be x plus v plus ss, or 10 plus 10 plus 5 plus a half, which is going to give us 25 and 1/2. You can also write that as 25.5. That's fine. When I look at number 3, I've got the x plus x part, but then when you get to the ix piece, remember, if we're writing 1 in front, that means that we're subtracting. So what that tells us is that we have plus ix. So this is going to be 10 plus 10 plus 10 minus 1. Because the 1 written to the left means we're taking 1 off. And that gives us 20 plus 9, or 29. Okay. So I want you to try number 4 and send me your answer in a direct message. Okay, so let's break this down. So we know that L equals 50, X equals 10. And when we think about this, we've got an L plus 3 X's. And then we have IX. So that means we've got a 50 plus a 30 plus IX, which means 9, right? Because we have the 10 minus the 1, because it's just the 1 that comes right before it, okay? So when we add this all up, we get 89. So questions about number 4.
I thought that the IX was a minus 9.
So it's minus 1 from
in the
10.
work. Oh,
yeah, so it's just whatever comes right before it, that's all you're taking off.
And then
so
you add it. Whoops.
Yeah.
I subtracted twice.
Don't worry.
Okay.
All right. So number 5, we've got CLXI. Go ahead and try that one. Okay, so let's break this one apart. So C, we can tell from up here is worth 100. L is worth 50. X is worth 10, and I is worth 1. Because the I comes to from the right of the 10, that means we're still just adding it on. We only subtract when it's on the left hand, right? So if we're going to add these up, so it's a C plus an L plus an X plus an I, meaning 100 plus 50 plus 10 plus 1, giving us 161 as our outcome. Okay. All right. MD, CXI, or CIX, excuse me, SS. There's a whole bunch of stuff involved there. So trying to make it as big as possible. Okay, so let's break this down. So we've got M, which is 1,000, D, which is 500, C, which is 100, IX, which is 9. I know to put those together because, again, I know the I is less than the X, so those become 1 unit. And then the SS is equal to 1/2. So we're going to do 1,000 plus 500 plus 100 plus 9 plus 1/2, giving us 1,609 and 1/2. It's okay if you have to look these up the whole time you're doing them. I don't remember, I'll be honest with you, above L, like I don't remember what 100 is, 500 is, and 1,000 is. I have to look those up every time. So don't, like if you're like, well, I shouldn't have to sit here and look at these every single time. It's okay, don't worry. So we're gonna go to the next page, and we're gonna now take Hindu Arabic numerals and write them as Roman numerals. So just to remind ourselves, we've got I is equal to 1, V is equal to 5, 10 is equal to X, 50 is equal to L, 100 equals C, 500 equals D, and 1,000 equals M. So I want you to try number 1, and then we'll talk about number 2 together. Okay, so we think about the number 8. How can we break this up using the pieces that we have? So we know that the number 8 is equal to 5 plus 3. And the reason why I'm breaking it up into 5 and 3 is that think about our building blocks for Roman numerals. We have 1s and we have 5s, we have 10s, right? So I know that if I can take a 5 out of it, what do I have left? Well, the 5 is going to be V. The 3 is going to be 3 I's. I'm using lowercase letters here because of the fact that it's less than 10. It's okay if you set me the letters uppercase. I really don't care. To me, it's not a big deal. But I'm just telling you why I'm doing it in this situation. So our answer is going to be V-I-I. The reason why we wouldn't write I-I-X, meaning 2 off of 10, is because we can only ever subtract one number. And so in order to get down to 8 from 10, we'd have to subtract 2 numbers, and that breaks our rules for Roman numerals. Okay. So thinking about our rules for Roman numerals, let's look at number 2. It's really tempting to say, oh, well, 49 is just equal to 50 minus 1. That is true, but I can't write that as IL. And the reason I can't write it as IL is because 1 is not within 10% of 50. So because 1 is only within 10% of 10, so that's all we can take away for the 1s is IX. So we have to think of a different way to represent 49. So if we think about 49, 49 is also equal to 40 plus 9. So 40 plus 9, how do I do the 40 part? Well, 40 is 10 off of 50. Oops, I don't want to write an X there. And how do I take 10 away from 50? Well, that means I write the X before the amount of 50. So that's going to be XL. If it helps to write some of these out so you have like a cheat sheet as you're working through them, that's totally fine with me. 9 is 10 minus 1, which is going to be IX. Therefore, 49 is equal to XL. Oops, I'm running out of room. XLIX. So thinking about breaking it up into these building blocks, I just want you to try your hand at number 3. I will tell you what is not the right answer. 95 does not equal VC because we cannot subtract 5. So I'm already telling you that's not the answer. So try breaking it up in a different way. So we can only ever have 3 of one number. Let's keep that in mind, right? So what are the things we can't subtract? Well, we can't subtract 5, okay? We also can't subtract 50, 500, or 1,000. Those are values that can't be subtracted. So let's keep those in mind. But we can subtract what? We can subtract 10, right? So we think about 95 is 90 plus 5, okay? So 10 is within 10% of 100. So 90 is equal to 100 minus 10. And obviously 5 is just 5. So if I think about 100 minus 10, that means I'm going to have XC, right? And then V. Is there another way we could write it though? What's another way we could break this up? So that's one possible answer. So this happened a couple of years ago when we had Super Bowl, I think it was 50. Is that Super Bowl 50? Because they didn't want the Roman numeral to just be L. And so they tried to come up with other ways to represent 50. But in this situation, right, we've got, okay, so how else can we make 90? Well, 90 can come from 40 plus 50, right? And 40 is going to be 50 minus 10. So we can write this as L XL. And then what? Am I thinking? Oh, V. I was like, what's what I'm missing? So the L is the 50, the XL is the 40, and then the V is 5, right? So those 3 added together gives us 95. So how do you know which way you're going, right? If you, my suggestion is to do it in the least number of letters as possible, right? If you want to be consistent in knowing that you're coming up with the right answer, I would just go with the least number possible, okay? But that doesn't mean that both aren't acceptable. Your homework, I will be honest with you, is very picky about how you answer it. And if you are like, Erin, I swear I got the answer right, and it's telling me it's wrong, email me. I'll go in and look at it and see if, oh, you put it in as lowercase instead of uppercase, or is your representation correct and they just don't think it's correct. So don't get too discouraged if you're getting, no, that's not right. Just let me know and I'll fix it, okay? Okay, let's do number 4. We're gonna skip number 5. Let's just do number 4. And I know I've got work all over the place here. I apologize. It's long, just to warn everybody. If you're like, this doesn't make sense, it's okay. It's a long one. Okay, so let's break this down into pieces. So 1,000. Let's do a new color. So 1,474. Okay, so 1,000 plus 400 plus 70 plus 4. Those are our bits, right? Okay, so 1,000, that's really straightforward. That's the M, right? So then how do I make 400? Well, 400 has to come from the 500. Now we are allowed to subtract 100 off of the 500. C is a letter that we can take off. So because we know 400 is equal to 500 minus 1, or minus 100, excuse me, 100 is the C. We're going to write it before the D to indicate we are subtracting 100 from 500. So now the 70 part. 70 is equal to 50 plus 20, right? So 50 is going to be L. How do I make 20? Well, I use two X's, okay? And then finally 4 is 1 off of 5, so we're going to do IV, right? We can subtract 1 because we can't do 4 I's, right? You can only get up to 3 of one before then you have to transfer to doing something different. So then we've got IV. So the whole thing together is MCDL XX IV. That's a lot. These will get easier. If you're doing your homework and the problems that I have in your homework and you're like, I am just not getting it, you can also in your textbook do the odd problems. And the reason I suggest doing the odd problems is that the answers are in the back of the book. So then you can check, am I getting it correct? Okay. So that's another way that you can practice more if you're like, I am just struggling after you get your homework done. Okay. So I'm going to shift gears. Like I said, this first section is kind of all over the place because it's like these little things that we're reviewing and like picking up. Then we have this idea of ins and outs. So we have some standard measurements. So first of all, 1 cc is equal to 1 milliliter. We're going to do some problems where we calculate how much intake of fluid a patient's had and how much output they've had. And so standard measurement says we have 1 ounce equals 30 cc's, and this is going to be one that we use a lot. A carton of milk is equal to 250 cc's. If the problem says a 5 ounce carton of milk, we will treat that as 5 ounces and convert it to cc's using the 1 ounce equals 30 cc's. I'm just saying that if it just says a carton of milk, you'll use that standard measurement. Much like a carton of juice, a cup of Jell-O, a bowl of soup, a serving of ice cream, or a popsicle. Again, if the measurement doesn't fit the standard measurements, then we're going to use the 1 ounce equals 30 cc's to convert the measurement to cc's. So we're going to go to the next page, but I'm going to write these in the corner so we can still use them, okay? So we've got 1 ounce equals 30 cc's. Okay. So number 1 says determine the patient's intake if they consumed. So because it says 1 carton of milk, it doesn't give us a measurement in ounces. That means we can just use the standard measurement. So the carton of milk is 250 cc's. 2 bowls of soup. Again, it doesn't say anything about the ounces for those soups, so we'll use the standard measurement. So a bowl of soup is 150 cc's, but because we have 2 of them, we're going to do 2 times 150 cc's. 2 8-ounce cups of coffee. First of all, coffee is not listed on our standard measurements. So we're just going to use the 1 ounce to 30 cc's conversion. So we have 2 of the 8-ounce cups of coffee. So 2 times 8 times 30 cc's per 8-ounce cup. 1 serving of ice cream. Again, it just says ice cream. It doesn't give us the number of ounces. So we're going to use the 120 cc's. A cup of Jell-O is 120 cc's, and a carton of juice is 120 cc's. So I want you to go ahead and find the total and let me know what you get. So if we add this all up, we've got 250 plus 300. The 300 is coming from the 2 times 150 plus 2 times 8 times 30. I think it's 480. Yeah, 480 plus the 120, 120, 120, and I'm going to simplify that to 360, which gives us a total of 1,390 cc's. So the second part says the same patient has the following urine outputs: 350 cc's, 300, 325, 250, 300, and 200. Is there an overall gain or loss of fluid? So I want you to first calculate the output. And then 2, take the intake minus the output. If your answer is negative, that means we have an overall loss of fluid. If the answer is positive, then we have an overall gain of fluid. Okay, so our total output, when we add it all together, is 1,725 cc's. So again, to figure out, we have to start with the intake minus the output. And then when we subtract them, the whole idea, the value is negative, that it's a loss, if the value is positive, it's a gain. In this case, we get negative 335 cc's. So it is a overall loss of fluid. In your homework, you don't need to put the cc part of it because the questions that have to do this only are there are numerical answers. So you just would put the negative 335. Also, I made a mistake. It's 240 cc's per milk in your textbook, but for our purpose here, we're just going to use the 250 because it's what I typed up because I made a mistake. But like when we look at number 2, again, because I'm telling you the ounces for these values, we aren't going to use the standard measurements. So once I give an ounce quantity, then we're going to focus on the 1 ounce equals 30 cc's. So we think about the intake is 4 ounce cup of Jello, 6 ounces of water, and a 5 ounce bowl of soup. We want to convert those ounces first to cc's, meaning I'm going to take 4 times 30, giving me 120 cc's, 6 times 30, giving me 180 cc's, and 5 times 30, giving me 150 cc's. Then the patient had the following outputs, and I want you to find the total fluid imbalance. And all that means is that I want you to tell me, is it a gain or loss, and of how much? So think about what we did in number 1 and apply that to number 2. Okay, so intake is 500 cc's. Output, no, whoops. Copying off of my notes. Intake is 450. Output is 500. Again, you start with the intake minus the output, giving us an overall loss of 50 cc's. Okay, so the next section of our notes is all about fractions. And yes, oh, sorry, to answer the one question, you don't have to type the CC portion. You're just gonna write -150. And so, yeah, it won't even actually let you type the CC part. Like it will only take numbers for that section. So the next section has to do with fractions. I'm gonna go through, we don't have much time left in class. I do want you to try these problems on your own before lecture on Thursday, and I'll go through the answers to them, and then we can talk about the ones that you have questions on. Because again, the fraction part is more of a review. You'll notice I've got instructions or definitions in the sections. So we've got converting between proper and improper fractions. We have to do with least common denominator, equivalent fractions, and comparing fractions. And then adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. And then the last section has to do with converting between fraction, decimals, and percents. Okay, so I want you to try those problems before lecture on Thursday. I'll go through the answers, and then we can talk about any ones that people have questions about. You don't have to upload them. That's a good question, Brianna. Did I say your name right? Brianna or Brianna? Either one. The second, Brianna. Okay, nice. You don't have to upload those answers. It's just something we'll go through at the beginning of class. Okay, but thanks for checking. So I just want to give us a couple of minutes. The worksheet is online. Again, where would you find it? So if we go into our, let me reshare our Eagle Online homepage. On the left-hand side, you'll see chapter 1. If you click on chapter 1, this is 1.1 through 1.4. This is the worksheet that I just went over as a PDF. So if you scroll down, there's the fraction parts. Okay, so you don't have to print this out. You can just record them on a separate sheet of paper. Again, I'm just going to go through the answers at the beginning of lecture on Thursday, so we can check any ones that we had questions about. Okay. If you have questions between now and Thursday, email me, okay? Your first homework assignment, sections 1.1 through 1.4, isn't due until, when's it due? It's due Friday of this week. So you've got a few days to, get your Edfinity access code and all of that. And like I said at the beginning, if you can't get to campus to get those, because of COVID protocols or something like that, just let me know. So again, how do you find your worksheets? So if we go to the content, you'll see chapter 1 here. We click on chapter 1 on the left-hand side. It'll take us to the module for chapter 1, and there's the worksheet for it. Before Thursday, there'll be a new module that says chapter 2, and it'll have links to the worksheet for Thursday, which is, I'm going to cover 2.1 and 2.2. Okay.
So you only upload that worksheet if you're trying to make up for a lecture?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
And so where you go to upload those, that's a great question. In assignments, you'll see a Dropbox. You only have to upload it if you mix the lecture, okay? So that's where you would upload it. And so that if I took roll and I went, oh, okay, Isabel wasn't able to make it. Let's see if she uploaded it. Then I'll go back and check. And if you did, great, then you got the full credit for attending. Because again, I know that we won't always be able to meet the lecture times, and there's some people that this lecture conflicts with a class. So there are options. Any other questions?
Yeah, I just want to double check.
Yes.
So I work nights, so there's some mornings that this class is going to be hard. So as long as
That's
I
okay.
watch the video later, upload my notes, I won't get dock points.
Exactly.
Okay, that's kind of relief because I'm like, I do not know how I'm going to stay up till 10 o'clock in the morning when I get off
I
at
don't
7
blame
a.m.
you.
I was like,
It's
oh,
totally okay.
okay.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna have a due date for those other than they need to be done by the time it's the test that's over those sections. So you'll have all of the worksheets that are for a test section. We have 4 tests over the course, and I'll reiterate this again. That's just when I want to make sure you have all your work done by, okay? And again, you only have to upload these worksheets if you miss lecture. Other than that, you can print them and write them on at home. Okay. Other questions? Okay. We went over a lot. The first day is always sort of like a whirlwind. So I expect you to have questions. I'm sure things are going to occur to you after this. So please feel free to email me. I did email you all the link to today's lecture and all of that. So my email is in there. My email is in the syllabus, and it's also on our homepage in Eagle Online. The one thing I forgot to mention, I will only be using your FVCC email when I send out emails. And so you want to make sure that you check it. Obviously, if you respond to me from your personal email, that's fine. But just know if I'm sending an announcement to the class, it's going to go to your FVCC email address. Okay. All right. Well, it was great to meet everybody. We will all get to know each other much better as the semester goes on. I hope you all have a good day, and I will see you on Thursday. Bye, everyone.
Bye.